Gentlemen, thank y'all for being on. William, Eric, good to have y'all on again. And I appreciate y'all doing this. This is going to be for the patrons only. So
Thrilled.
we appreciate y'all's time.
Thrilled. And I
Yeah.
want to tell the patrons, thank you very much for your incredible support. Thank you very much. And we're thrilled to be here.
Yeah, this is really fun. I like hearing y'all's thoughts, especially on debate. So I look forward to this. Like I said, just a few moments to pull y'all to the side and get your views here on the debate. I know I got a little bit when we just did the video with Dr. James Likoudis. I got to hear your thoughts there, but I wanted to dig a little bit deeper. One thing that I wanted to bring up, and I kind of brought it up there with Dr. Likoudis, is I think Ubi really got fixated on this issue with the term suggestion in English that you find there on New Advent. It seems like you really got fixated on that. And so my question is, do you think that it's the case that, okay, this is perhaps whenever this was translated, because this is part of that Nicene, post-Nicene collection, Fathers of the Church, that was done way back in the day. I mean, I want to say late 1800s. So whenever they translated that into English, the term suggestion there probably was a little different than how we would use that term in English today. And I think that accounts for the discontinuity between the word itself and the context, which y'all did really good in bringing out. So to get fixated on an English term and a particular nuance that we use today is not very fitting and is not very helpful. I think that's one of the big problems. William, what do you think?
I totally agree with you, Michael. I think you're bringing up a really good point. And I'm looking at that right now. You're definitely right. You bring up a good point. What is the issue? Is that there's a reason why the Catholic University of America has released a number of these works that were translated in the 19th century. Why? Because they've released them with updated English. A lot of them that were done in what I would call archaic kind of English. So they released a lot of updated versions, which are fantastic. They're great. They're great translation. That is a problem that, not a problem in the sense that, well, it's great that they're online for free. They are in the open archive world, but a problem when you really double down on a translation online. But I've got to tell the audience here, I'm so glad that we are doing this patron-only event, because I can really, pull back the veil and really let them know totally the way we feel about everything. Right. And for me, I have to be quite honest, Michael, as brutal as my assessment is, for me, the major limitation from Ubi, from the anonymous individual, is he does not have the ability, or maybe not the desire, to go do real firsthand kind of source material research. Rather, he relies on an archaic old English translation. And for me, Michael, I thought that he kind of parked the bus on that for the majority of the debate that I heard. And I thought that he believed that the strength of that argument would undo everything else Dr. Likoudis had laid the foundation for. I don't think it made a difference. Dr. Likoudis rebounded very well, responded very well, made a number of biblical points that were never touched upon. There was not even an attempt to rebut the biblical points that were made. And to me, that shows me the weak position. And to be quite honest with you, the strength of the Catholic position really came forth. And I think Dr. Likoudis did a fine job.
I wasn't very impressed with Ubi's arguments. I kind of feel like I could argue against the papacy better than that. So I still feel that he wasn't really delivering, but that's just my personal opinion. What do you think, Eric? Do you think that he got fixated, I should say, on an English term and a particular nuance that we have for its meaning today and applying it to, whenever it was translated, and as if somehow English is even relevant to this discussion, because of course the fathers didn't write it in English, so.
Yeah, I really do think he did get caught up with that word. It seems as though is my audio coming through clear? I hear
I hear something in the background.
I hear Elijah's really loud, but he already muted it.
Okay. I noticed that, and again, I haven't really listened meticulously to or read everything that Ubi Petrus has written, although I've it's been when I've been mowing the lawn or on a long walk or something, and I can't find anything else I want to listen to. I've tried to listen into some of the videos that Ubi has done in the past, and I notice he does this. He's a linguistics man, and so as a result of that, he focuses a lot on words and their meaning, which is absolutely important. It's absolutely important. But there's two wings to a plane. You have to have context with your syntax and your etymology and your linguistics. Context goes into basically tells you how the word is being used. So even if you were to go into the ancient past and find a word like auctoritas or auctoritate, um, and you could find, some reverberating parallels to a moral influence or prestige that comes from fame and skill and age, or the Roman senatorial college or something like that. That doesn't necessarily mean that the word auctoritas is being used that way in every single reference that you can find that. So I think the same way with suggestione or anaphora. I think that Ubi being he's glued to linguistics. It's like he only has room for that one wing on the plane, and so it causes the plane to go sideways. He's got to have context with it, and I think when you read the context, it's very clear that Saint Agatho meant to imply that this is a condemning law. That if you don't agree that there's two natures and two wills from the natures, you don't have any communion with us, is what that letter said. I mean, that's like when Jesus said, go into the world and preach the gospel to every creature. Whoever believes will be saved. Whoever does not believe will be condemned. That's not a suggestion. I mean, even if in the Koine Greek there was used the word that, and then Jesus gave his anaphora, whoever does not believe will be condemned. It's clearly not a suggestion in the way that we understand it today. So I think that's clear. I think Michael and William, you picked up on that. So,
when you say that he's a linguistics guy, okay, but why focus on the English language?
Yep.
That's a good point. I would have liked to have heard more if he knew more about like the historical use of the word. I would have loved to have heard more about that, but I didn't hear anything like that.
Yeah.
Can I maybe make one comment? The comment that I would make, I'd jump in, and I won't go too long on it. The point would be that I heard a portion of Ubi's debate, the anonymous individual's debate against Suna Swan. I'm sorry if I'm getting the name wrong. Please forgive me. And the one thing that I did notice, to go right to your point there, Michael, great point you brought up. To me, I have noticed, I don't know if it's an inability or reluctance to go right to the very source material. And when I talk about that, I mean going to the Patrologia. I mean doing that kind of research that I've seen firsthand. Eric has done, because I've looked at incredible works that Eric has done. He always makes it a point to go to the material, make sure he's double, triple, quadruple checked everything. I have not noticed that in Ubi. When he debated Suna, I did not catch that there. And when he was debating Dr. Likoudis, parking the bus on that English word tells me he either does not have that ability or doesn't want to do it. For me, look, I'm not attacking the person that cannot do that. But my point is, if you don't have that ability, don't try to pretend to your audience that you do and really make a lot of hay out of an English word. To me, that is a bigger issue more than an individual being unable to go to the original text.
Elijah, what are your thoughts here? Can you hear us?
Yeah, sorry, I just had to unmute myself. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Sweet. Yeah. Thanks
Loud
for
and
having me on.
clear.
Yeah,
Sweet.
yeah, glad to have you.
Sweet. Yeah, so I would what I would encourage everyone to do. So Ubi says on the debate the word suggestion was used 14 times in the council. If you go on New Advent, you can find all the sessions of the council there. Not the actus, but some of the sessions are on there, and you do a word search on sessions. Suggestion. You can read each one in context, just like Eric was saying, and it would be one of the most ridiculous takes for you to think that the word suggestion actually means suggestion in English the way we use it today. It's obviously a word that has force behind it and authority. What I wish he would have done is came out with maybe some Greek scholars to back up what he's suggesting, no pun intended. But he didn't do that. He was the authority that is giving us the definition of the word suggestion. Now he claims to translate Greek and Latin. I don't know if that's true or not, but we don't really know much about him since he's anonymous. But, if I came into a debate and I said this word means this, without giving you any scholars or any Greek scholars or linguistics behind it, it really doesn't have much weight because I'm not a Greek scholar. Neither is Ubi. If you translate Greek, doesn't make you a Greek scholar. So that was his number one mistake. And the number two mistake was that's really the only argument he brought to the table in the debate. I listened to the whole thing, and I didn't hear anything else besides this. And I have to say, I think he tries really hard to be unique. And sometimes when you try to reinvent the wheel, you just sound ridiculous. And then that was mistake number two that he made. Number three, a lot of times we focus on these debates about a word here and a word there. And don't get me wrong, that's important, right? But what Dr. James did is he kind of stepped back and said, look, here's the bigger picture. I know you're focusing on this word, but here's what Pope Agatho is claiming, right? Here's the bigger picture. He's claiming nothing different than what Vatican I is claiming. And I think he was able to grasp the context of it, because sometimes when you focus too much on something, you miss the forest from the tree or whatever the saying is. You're too focused on something where you just have to step back and take off your lens of like the debate of trying to win a debate or trying to trap someone into a corner, and realize that we are discussing divine truths. This is not a room of trapping people. This is divine truths, and it shouldn't be something where we have to go dig into what this word is to see what Agatho was saying. Look, Agatho was clear what he was claiming. He was very clear. And I noticed that the East, they kind of de-emphasize what yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
Oh, no worries. What the Eastern Orthodox today, they kind of de-emphasize what the Latin fathers say, especially the popes, and they try to get your focus to shift only on what the Greek fathers are accepting or saying in context, or maybe sometimes out of context. And that's a mistake. I think if you're going to be claiming to be universal, you need to take both East and West. And I think the Catholic Church does that very well, while the Eastern Orthodox takes things out of context. That's really the thing that I had to say on this.
Did you catch when he said, instead of de fide, he said de fida? I've never heard anyone pronounce it, but I'm just saying, if you're supposed to be a Latin scholar, that's kind of odd. But
can I throw something on the table, guys? I'm legitimately, I am curious. Do you all think that he is well learned when it comes to Catholicism? I gather that he does not know a whole lot about Catholicism, and I don't throw that out to attack him. I don't know who he is. He's anonymous. But from what I have heard, he doesn't really fully understand what we're talking about. When it comes to the papacy, I don't know what you gentlemen gathered, but I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
I think he probably took Latin in high school, and then also maybe went to Catholic school or something like that, and then read maybe a few books here and there on Catholicism.
Right.
That's the impression that I get. I don't know. But like you said, We don't know because he's anonymous. And my thing is, this guy has accused me and Eric of being deceptive during debates, and I want to know who my accuser is, because whenever somebody accuses me of something like that, I think I have the right to know who they are. I want to know, are they a convicted criminal or something? I mean, what's their background? And also, he's presenting himself as an Orthodox. I'd like to know, okay, is that in fact the case? Have you been chrismated? Where? What jurisdiction are you under? I'd like to know more about him. He presents himself as somebody who is scholarly in this area, and I don't see any credentials. So I want to know more. I want to know also why he remains anonymous. So I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Eric.
No, I was just going to say that, the first time I heard him was when he went on to Jay Dyer's channel. And I could barely listen to it because they were talking about me. But as I was listening to it, I couldn't match myself with what they were saying. So it got really annoying. But from what I gather, it sounds as though to me, it sounds like he's really trying to study this out. He's trying to study this out. And I think he has he has this understanding of Catholicism that the papacy is so invincible. It's so invincible. It's so totalitarian, and it's so crucial. It's like it's like the heart of a human body for for him in the Catholic Church. So any kind of diminishing of papal exclusivism, isolationism, any kind of idea where there can be a failure in the Pope, if there's this sense that he could be resisted in some sense, that to him is proof positive that nobody believed in the papacy back then. So he's got this very heightened understanding of the papacy, an invincible papacy, absolutely invincible. And so anything that doesn't manifest something like that, well, it's that the Catholic Church is wrong. So I think when he imposes that view, who can't destroy that view? I mean, we've been doing that for years, destroying that view ourselves. So, I mean, so I think he has an imposition on our faith that is incorrect.
Elijah, I think you had some comments there.
Yeah, just to go back to William's question, and I want to agree with all three of you guys on what you're saying, that he doesn't really understand Catholicism, because as you guys know, I've done shows on critiquing his work on Catholicism, and he has no understanding of the historical context and debates and background of Vatican I. He has absolutely none, and he still wants to insist that Vatican I is teaching this, I guess, autocrat pope, where he just can separate himself from the church and then define dogmas without the bishops being involved, or without the bishops agreeing with it or not. And that's just how it's supposed to work. Now, whether he can or can't do that is a different question than how is it supposed to work, right? When he goes into history, for example, like when you have the 649 Synod, he'll say, well, the Pope first held a synod with a bunch of Roman bishops before he decreed something, so therefore you can't use that for Vatican I. Well, there's a problem here, because Vatican I is saying that the Pope is going to work with the church. That's what they had in mind. Now, here's another problem. Would the Eastern Orthodox, would they accept a church where the Pope, whenever there's a question at hand, if we are united, East and West united, there's a question at hand, let's say Pope Francis goes and takes 10 Roman bishops and holds a synod with them, and then decrees something just based off those 10. Now, according to Ubi, well, that doesn't prove Vatican I because he didn't act alone, but he only took like, a dozen bishops from his Roman see or from the cardinals. And just from those handful he picked, he said, okay, I'm just going to decree with these guys, or I'm going to ask them their opinion. That would never fly for the East, right? But for Ubi Petrus, when the Pope, before 649, when he held a synod with the Roman bishops, for him, that's enough. Even if it was 5 bishops, even if it was the Pope and the Pope's grandma, that's all, because it wasn't the Pope alone. So that qualifies as, it doesn't work. The Vatican I said Pope alone, which it didn't. But that's a different question. It did in the sense that juridically speaking, the Pope can act alone, but it didn't in the sense that that's not how it's supposed to work. And so we have to distinguish those two things, and he doesn't make those distinctions. So that's all I have to say on that one.
Eric, did you have any other maybe final concluding thoughts here about the Ubi and Likoudis debate that you wanted to get in there?
No, I think that I wish that they had a debate for everyone to listen to the whole thing, because it seems as though having it behind a paywall, I'm sure they're successful in getting more Patreons and all, but I really wish they would have had the whole thing up there for everybody to watch. But I think that it doesn't seem like they're ever going to debate again, and I think maybe next time Ubi debates, I think he's gonna learn from his mistake in this one. I think he might be a little bit more aggressive, because if you'll notice a difference between the way Ubi was acting in that debate and the way that like Jay Dyer acts in a debate. Jay Dyer is just looking to win, so he's just trying. He's just trying to do, he's trying to go Mario on every point. And Ubi, I could sense that Ubi just wanted to stay with, he tried to stay with the substance. He wanted to give Dr. Likoudis time. I think maybe the next time we see Ubi debate, it'll probably be a little bit more aggressive. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. I really wish that Ubi would have had a better foundation, with reason and theology. Would have loved to have had more debates with him, more talks with him. But
he would have been welcome as a regular on the show. Yeah, would have had him on all the time if he was willing. I mean, but if somebody can't behave, and first time you invite them on the show, they are rude to you and then want to charge you. They say they want to charge you 500 euros per hour just to come on your show because they don't want to build your platform. That kind of puts a damper in things.
Yeah, he was belittling us. And so anyway, my thoughts are concluded. I think I've said my piece on this issue, and we'll see what's next.
Elijah, any concluding thoughts there?
No, that's thanks for having me on, Michael. Appreciate it.
Yeah, glad to do it. I appreciate y'all taking some additional time to do this, especially for the patrons. And patrons, I appreciate y'all and everything that y'all do to support us. Thank you so much for supporting the show. I ask that you would continue to do so. Keep us in your prayers. Till next time. God bless.